And welcome back to the SMITE Challenger Circuit. Our first half of the day is complete. We're done with the EU region for today, and we'll move in to the North American side of the SCC for their final week of play out here. Remember, this is the last day of play, the last matches that our SCC teams will have all the way up until December when they have their playoff matchups against, again, their respective region and some of the SOC teams thrown in there. And the two that we're going to be starting it out today with for our first half of the NASCC is going to be the Athenian Sages and the Anansi Weavers. And I've got some help over on the desk with me for this set. It's myself, J-Mac, and Mifflin now joining me over here as we get ready to jump into here. No roster change-ups between any of these teams moving into this final week of play, which means we get to see these teams at their full strength to fight off.
But J-Mac, if this is the last week of play and we're only watching 4 sets today, where are the other 2?
Well, the other 2 sets, I'm glad you asked me, Mifflin, are going to be taking place after the SPL on Saturday and Sunday. So if you want to catch the other 2 SCC matches that we don't get a chance to cover today, make sure you're tuning in after SPL this weekend to catch up those last ones there. But Athenian Sages and the Anansi Weavers will be our first match of the NA matchups, but it's our third match of the day. So let's take a look at the schedule and see what you've missed so far and what's still to come after. Hex Mambo, a 2-1 win to secure their first seed over in the EU region. Highland Ravens take their second seed. Aru Scorpions found a 2-0 over against the Niflheim Wargs. And now I got the Athenian Sages, Anansi Weavers, and Shibalba Storm, Yomi Tanuki, which means that the 2 other teams of both those regions you're not seeing again will be played out post-SPL with our community broadcast team, so make sure you show those guys some love and watch the SCC after SPL on Saturday and Sunday. Now we can take a look at the standings here, and this is where it gets a little bit fun, because the Eldritch Hounds are the only team that is clear-cut top. Anansi Weavers, unfortunately, clear-cut at the bottom, so 1-6 guaranteed. And it is a 4-way 2-2 tie throughout, which means that the Athenian Sages finding a win here right now would be massive for them because they can not necessarily guarantee the second seed, but still have that best chance of fighting for that top 2 spot.
I am so personally envious of the current position of the Anansi Weavers. And hear me out. They are no longer playing for them. They are simply here to ruin other teams' chances.
Yep.
That is awesome. We're not trying to improve ourselves. We're not trying to find a better position moving forward. It is simply spread hatred and make people feel bad. The Weavers are in a very enviable position. I think anybody would want to be exactly where they are.
Yeah, I mean, with 4 teams tied at 2-2 in that regard, even one game taken by this could completely shake up the standings for some of these other teams out there. So Anansi Weavers definitely have a tall order to go against the Athenian Sages. The Athenian Sages, their roster, though, Renjaru, Privative, Jengaru, Shortfuse, and Dishonor had some change-ups throughout the early portions of the phase, but this team has really kind of rounded itself out so far moving through, looking over into the dual lane with Renjaru and Privative. I've been really impressed with the performance that Privative specifically has had over in that support role. Mifflin, he has really been able to step up with this roster whenever he made his way over.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Privative has been one of the most consistent, impressive players on this team. Really is an impact player, loves getting involved in those early fights. Seems as if Privative, one of the players in the North American SEC that is very much so in the support role, at least in line with the, hey, once I take it over to level 5, I just don't want to be in my lane ever unless I'm ganking. Privative loves acting as a secondary jungler for his squad, even when he is playing the more standard support style picks. So I'll be excited to see what he elects to play today, and I suppose it's probably a byproduct of the emphasis we put on supports all the way across the scene of just how strong that role is right now, because it legitimately is probably the strongest role. You've got your hand in every single one of the lanes. You're able to control the early game pacing, decent damage output if you so choose, but more importantly, wild survivability available to supports right now with Mail of Renewal, Meditation, things along those lines. All kind of lines up to a perfect storm, if you would, for at least that role. But fortunately for the Sages, it's not just Privative. He is flanked by a lot of talent around him as well.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I know we've talked about before was Dishonored and some of the gods that he has played out there, some of his more successful gods, one of also the few players who are still playing Nike over in the solo lane and seeing success with that there. But they were up against the Anansi Weavers, and this is kind of a strange team to really talk about there because these guys are really all over the place with their style of picks, with their styles of play. You look at Chinfu in the jungle, this guy's Sylvanas and Hercules kind of jungle. Nobody is running those, but they're winning to some degrees, at least out
Are
there.
they?
The Sylvanas is usually doing okay. They've got a couple of wins out there with it. Mando Warrior's still kind of going all over the place in the solo lane. Started out with Assassins at the beginning of the year, throwing some Warriors, throw some Guardians over there. It's just a team that they get these very aggressive early game style of picks. They get these very early leads, but they've really just been having a lot of trouble transitioning that to the mid and late game.
Yeah, I mean, the Weavers, I think, and we had actually, again, not to continue referencing the media day that we had just had previously with the Leviathans, check it out on youtube.com/SMITEPro. I had a conversation with them about the style of players that I think I would associate with the Weavers as a whole, which is, I break it down to two types. There's the SMITE hitmen that are going to play whatever is the best at the game, and they're always looking for dubs, and they're going to change their own personal god pools to adjust to any given meta. Very similar to how the Leviathans have played throughout the last couple of years, through Sanguine, now the Leviathans. And then there's the players that are a little bit more interested in being expressive. They want to show that they are playing their own style. They want to play what they like to play, and they want it to work, obviously. At the end of the day, everybody wants to win. But they're less willing to adjust to play what other people are playing because it's good. And the Weavers find themselves firmly in the second camp. Even when they are playing picks that are generally selected by everyone else. Mando Warriors locked in Hades once. He decided he didn't like how everybody else built, so he decided to go down his own tree. Chinfu may be capable of playing the standard junglers, the Ratataskers, the Thors. My man's going to play like Geb and Sylvanas and Hercules jungle because it's interesting and he's the only one doing it. Which means you've got at least a slight advantage in P's and B's. Nobody else is doing what you're doing, so not a whole lot of people have got experience playing against what you play, and it makes it very difficult to ban against you. But at the same note, you're the only one playing it for a reason. Everybody else realized that Thor and Ratatasker and the standard Hades build and things along those lines are just better.
Sometimes there's a reason it's called the meta, because the meta works, and that's what's finding success. We'll see if the Anansi Weavers can play spoilers to the Athenian Sages. We jump into the picks and bans for game number 1 between the Weavers and the Sages. With the Weavers in that first pick slot, gives them a lot of opportunities, a lot of options available to them. We have been seeing the Kabrakan kind of find its way over to Big Slim over in that support role more often than not.
Big Slim who?
Big Slim Timmy Jim.
Yeah, thank you.
Got to make sure you get the full out. I'm not even going to try and do the 4-letter abbreviation of his name. Yeah, I'm not going to remember that, or I'm just going to butcher it at some point.
You don't have to remember it. You can read it, you know?
No, I'm seeing Big Slim Timmy Jim. I don't see
Yeah, he didn't
like...
It's not like capitalized in lowercase.
Yeah, they didn't capitalize
caps.
each individual, like, first part of it. It's the whole thing is all caps. So do we just have to yell his name the whole time?
Well,
Speak in all caps?
You can.
What about you, though?
I'm going to say BSTJ almost exclusively.
All right, well, as the bands do fly through, Yamoja, Kepri, Amuz, and Cobb, Hades, Sylvanas, you're not seeing that one incorrectly. That one is directly at Chinfu, and then a Kabrakan as well, which leaves Neath as a first pick for the Weavers.
And that is directly in line with exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody's playing Neath right now. I couldn't tell you where it's going. If it were 3 phases back and this were a Camelot Kings game, I'd say Neath mid maybe. Otherwise, nobody is playing that god. Just expressive players on the side of the Weavers. They want to play their own style, and they continue to do so, even in the last week of play. Neath's okay, I guess. If we go off tier list, I think Zapman put her in like E, like one of the few hunters that are like at the bottom. Yeah, E's below D for those of you that aren't familiar with the absolute dredges of the tier list. But
well, I guess that was for ADC though.
Yeah, for mid, we didn't discuss that.
Yeah,
I guess now with On Her locked in, we can say this Neath is for mid. Yeah, I mean, she's got self-sustain, decent damage output, global presence. I mean, global ultimate. I wouldn't know if that's global presence. Like, you're not getting there, but you're sending an arrow where it needs to be. Yeah, Transcendence Hunters aren't good right now. Neath is almost exclusively going for that style of build. Feels like the Mannequin's Hidden Blade one-shot, just line it up, cannon shot. Neath isn't really exactly the best right now either. An interesting selection. First overall for the Weavers. Sorry I ranted about it. 6 picks happened.
No, you're fine, because I think you're right in that regard. Is nobody else is playing Neath. No other team is out there playing Neath, so it seems kind of strange as a first pick, and that gives away Ymir and Freya as a second pick for the Sages, and Nike, so 2 picks that have worked really, really well, the Freya and the Nike for the Athenian Sages. Meanwhile, Anher and Naja picked up by the Weavers. Quick fly through the band, Xingchen, Ganesh, Uller, which is another one that we don't really see anymore, and then Ishtar, one that we've kind of seen mix in there, and that leaves the Ratatasker for the Sages, something that's very powerful over in that jungle role.
Yeah, I wonder if they're concerned about ADC's mid, right? If that were the case, I haven't seen a whole lot of Ishtar mid, so could potentially work. She's got decent pressure. Lob auto attacks mean that she should be able to establish pressure against a Neath in mid. So fine bans from the Weavers, just trying to hedge their bets and keep the Sages guessing on where they're going to go with the draft. But Freya generally is slated for the duo lane, which means that you can just lock in standard mages. And standard mages have been very popular. Only 2 of them, though. Only 2 standard mages very popular. And Vulcan is one of those 2 and somehow makes it all the way to 10th pick. The Sages got themselves a pretty nasty composition here. The CC lockdown of a Ymir freeze into Earthshaker, or Nike jump in slow into Earthshaker, or just toss up a wall, Earthshaker, whoop, Earthshaker. You know, they've got plenty of CC to set up for this Vulcan and make sure that damage finds its way home.
Game number 1 between the Weavers and the Sages. Weavers attempting to maybe spoil up at least the standings for the Sages, see if they can take a game, or even take the full set off the Sages and find themselves their first win of the phase, or will the Weavers be able to, will the Sages be able to find their way and potentially secure themselves a number 2 seed? It does come down to the play on field in game number 1. And Athena solo by Mando Warrior.
Very expressive player.
This Mando Warrior's just a character, man. I've been watching this guy since he was running the collegiate scene years back, and this is just something that he's always done. He has never been one to stick to that meta style of play. He just, whatever is on his brain, he's just gonna play it, no matter if it's good or not.
And, you know, Athena mid has had her time in the sun at times, right? You've got global presence, your wave clear has only gotten better since Athena solo was, I hesitate to say meta, but was selected at times, I suppose the best way to word it. I'm thinking like Season 8, Phase 2, where we'd see it every now and then, but certainly still can get involved elsewhere on the map, has some follow-up, so now Chinfu's got at least a little bit of burst damage waiting for him when he lands from the Windfire wheels, which was my primary concern for the nausea on the side of the Weavers, is what he is setting up for is BSTJ. He might just be dead.
Good stun on the turnaround, but one more slow carpet avoided that time. That might just be enough. No, the gumballs are back out, and Renjaru grabs first blood for his team. Now, the boxing match up against Diesel, who gets slowed down twice. Impale pushes Priv away. Auto attacks are good. Jump in by Diesel, beads by Renjaru. He's trying to box through. Shell goes out. And Diesel now on the run, hit by the slow carpet once more, but should be fine. It's first blood to the Sages earlier on.
Getting beads off Renjaru's got some value. Now Chinfu can make a rotation over, and Chinfu has shown a propensity to do so very early on in his previous sets. So having a target in that Freya that now has no way to survive a gank could find some pretty decent value. Diesel doing a very good job of leveraging the sustain now that Onher has got, Death Toll, Devour's Gauntlets, HP, multi-pots as well. Just using his HP as a resource to burn that CC immunity off of Renjaru, I think finds some value. Unfortunate fall, though, in the duo lane. Never want to have someone die legitimately at level 1. BSTJ has got a pretty steep hill to climb back up.
Just as soon as he gets back to lane, he's already back to half HP. The poke from Priv and Renjaru have been pretty potent up against this Cerberus. He still has not had a chance to hit level 2 yet. He is still sitting on level 1. Should get it with this wave, no problem, but that opens up the door for not only that Scepter to be taken earlier on, but also this left side Harpy camp goes over to the Athenian Sages. That's level 3 across the board, where Big Slim just now procs over to level 2. A very difficult start for the dual lane of the Weavers.
Well, you should, at least on the side of the Weavers, be able to defend this next rotation of purple buff. Hog's been maintained by both support, so neither one of the dual lanes, Athenian Sages or Weavers, have really got an opportunity to look towards that invade. So loss is mitigated, I suppose, on the side of the Weavers. The only concern now is that this Freya, who has got First Blood, has got some pretty nice items that she can start to back towards very, very shortly. Onher really wants to play aggressive, but there's going to come a point, I believe, like 1.5 items or 2 items into the build where Renjaru is just going to out DPS on her. So once supports start to rotate out, Renjaru with a lead should just have an easier time in this lane. Could restrict the Weaver's support, could keep BSTJ hovering in the duo, just to make sure that 1v1 doesn't happen. But if that's the case, then Diesel's going to slowly start to bleed out, because we've already established that Primitive loves the rotation style play, loves getting involved in that mid 2v2, mid 3v3. So curious to see is Chinfu now could be in some trouble.
Up on the tree, down on the ground, tries to cut off the path, but
Oof.
Chinfu zigged. Not sure if you thought he would zag. That'll be at least an escape for the jungler. Still maintaining the blink on the side of the Naja and the beads for short fuse, but tried to get that early fight. Pre-level 5 up against the Naja. Not much escape path for them since that ultimate would be down, but good little juke shoes for Chinfu to keep himself alive in the early, not fall for a second kill to the Sages. I don't know why I got excited. I heard the noise from the barrier and I thought something was about to happen, but then I realized it's Nike versus Athena. Nothing's happening over here.
I mean, they'll poke each other, they'll prod, they won't kill anybody, but they'll certainly be hitting each other. The damage charts will not lie. I would be surprised if like Nike isn't close to the top by like the 10-minute mark. It is worth noting that even had Short Fuse aimed that ultimate correctly, because Chinfu had Blink, pretty unlikely that it connects. Easy to respond to that sound cue of Ratatasker legitimately screaming at the top of his lungs as he barrels down towards the battleground. So Chinfu likely would have just blinked out of there had he needed to. So a whiff from Short Fuse, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I won't hold it against him too much.
Yeah, he at that level 5, he wanted to get a chance to throw that ult out, did so, but now we'll see where he puts the pressure on the map. Seems to be dual lane as the call. Pops a potion while he waits inside the purple buff. No response from Big Slim. He's helping out with the red buff instead. And with no ult by Short Fuse means that there shouldn't be a gank towards Diesel over on this side. Purple buff successfully invaded and stolen away. Short Fuse will now rotate over to the now missing red buff that Big Slim was helping out with, who's now actually gone to the opposite side. And what happened to Jangaru's health? Must have gotten slammed by an ultimate from Sops, it seems.
Yeah, Neath ultimate has been expended very recently, so maybe an easy combo. I mean, Neath ult and the Spirit Arrow combo is pretty clean, pretty easy to line up, especially on a largely immobile mage like Vulcan. Jangaru may have just stepped up the wave, dropped backfire, ate the whole combo, and thought to himself, man, really happy I just survived this one. So at the end of the day, it's just that global resource expended by Sops, and Jangaru gets to hold on to at least his life, if not his own beads. CC immunity lost in the next minute on this Vulcan. Chinfu's got some targets again. I'd love to see this Windfire Wheels start to be used a little bit more aggressively, start to get involved in some of these fights. You've got an entire minute now while Jangaru's got literally no answer for it.
But I'm thinking Mando Warrior's really wanting to go back to base to get that Warlock staff, but he's been stopped, I think, twice now on his back by Dishonor. We'll have to stick around the wave a little longer. Teleport's still down for about 35 seconds, so at least be a walk back for Mando. Short Fuse up on the tree. A jump in by Dishonor to once again stop the back. Stun is good, and the damage after. Dishonor to credit to the kill, and that's just toxic at that point. Man's just trying to go back to base and refuses to let him be so, at least alive.
I mean, if he wanted to go back to base, he could have gone to the tier 2 Renjaru. Valkyrie's Discretion in response to the jump in from Diesel. Very passive play there from Renjaru. Probably just concerned about exactly what was going on in the jungle. BSTJ and Chinfu hovering nearby. Classic answer from the Weavers. If you're 3-man diving the solo, something's probably happening in the duo.
We did see a red buff invade by Big Slim and Sops earlier on. Did steal that one away from Jangar, so he's been without that buff. But now Diesel may be in danger. Jumps away, stun, lands, dart, freeze, and the damage after is good. Add a third kill to the board for the Athenian Sages. First one for the jungler. And maybe, what else is on the menu? Well, a purple buff and a 2,000 golden XP lead the Athenian Sages have built up so far.
Yeah, just easy picks, too. There just hasn't been a whole lot of response from the Weavers. Very quiet game from Chinfu. Haven't seen the Naja get involved just yet. Does use the sash masterfully, though. Avoids that Earthshaker.
But Wall blocks off the path. Ring bounce to the minions for a little bit of extra movement speed. Jinfu good. Nice use of the sash. Sometimes people forget that I can't help out.
Yeah.
Problem is,
oh, hold on.
He's got ults, and he's out. We'll be fine. Didn't want to use that ult. I know he did not.
That was an expensive escape. I mean, not just his ultimate, but Mando Warrior's ultimate as well. And Mando didn't even get the opportunity to clear out the wave before he rotates, so a lot of farm going to be lost in that lane as Dishonored strips away your back camps right in front of you. Chinfu mitigated in his efficacy so far this game. Would love, just absolutely love, an opportunity to get aggressive, but even if he did, I mean, we talked about it earlier. If he ults Jangaru, maybe Sops could, like, in the time while he's like hitting him with a 5-piece combo in the air with Windfire Wheels, Sops can like set up a backflip weave and then Spirit Arrow on top of that as the follow-up, but barring that, like World Weaver plus Spirit Arrow, not the greatest to follow up a Windfire.
Well, Chinfu almost timed that one perfect. Dunked down in by Short Fuse. That's the kill for the jungler. A dive in with the dart to try and get Big Slim, but not quite enough damage from the Ratatosker. Again, an attempted sash to juke out the damage, but Chinfu just a little early on at that time and does fall down for the 4th kill.
If I'm being generous, I could say Chinfu's predicting an early pop, predicting that Privative is predicting the sash, right? Like, we can go into like the hyper mind games. If I'm not being generous, we could just say Chinfu mistimed it, right? I'm going to be generous, though, because that's a pretty standard play to pop it early to deal with the immunity that a standard leap or a sash would afford you. But Privative calls the bluff, says, hey, man, I know you're good at the game. I know you know that I know. So there's like 5 layers of entropy happening right there. But at the end of the day, it's just another pick for the Sages.
Yeah, it's another one for them. Puts their lead to 3K and climbing. Only 10, not even 10 full minutes into the game. Pyra hasn't even spawned. There's been no eyes towards the Fury just yet. And look at the damage to that Tier 1 tower at Diesel's side of the map. It's already down to about a quarter of its own. And it's not going to get a break anytime soon.
Oof,
Range
oof.
damage goes through. Wall,
Oof.
freeze, beads are there. One more auto. Renjaru grabs the 5th of the game, his 2nd one. And the 2nd one inside of his own respective lane as well.
Why?
And Warriors stuck to the right-hand side. Sages go for the Pyromancer. There's no response back. Short Fuse is tanking that one up. Earthshaker in, backfire after. And what is Mando doing all the way over here? Not even realizing that there's 3 people. He could have maybe gone and stopped.
Yeah, I mean, he slammed those back camps to be certain. Like,
He did.
those back camps are dealt with. Nobody's getting those. BSTJ tries to get involved, walks headfirst into a wall instead. Clean play again to the Sages. Gotta imagine Diesel's jump was just down in the duo, but even if that's the case, like, stand behind your tower instead of losing half your HP to Renjaru before they even have to walk into the tower range. Assuming the leap was down. If the leap was up, I don't know, use that next time instead to get out of range. End of the day, easy pick on the left-hand side. Diesel loses beads and his life. Right side, Pyromancer immediately afterward. The Sages are just owning.
Damage to Dishonored. He's going to turn back in. Taunt gone from Mando. Dunk in by Short Fuse. And an easy 1-2 combo for the Ratatosker. Puts up 6 unanswered kills for the Sages. Now how will the Weavers and the Sages respond in kind? Sages, after getting their pick to the right side, everybody's immediately rotated over towards left. Gold Fury
God.
started up. And Short Fuse on the way. Him and Primitive going to zone out Sops and Diesel. Beads gone from Sops. Spirit Arrow down. And Ultimate popped early by Priv this time as the Gold Fury is grabbed by his team.
This is one-sided. Like, one of these, I mean, the drafts are one-sided. The play on field is one-sided. The objective play is one-sided. The Sages, they're just different, man. They're just different, I guess. The Weavers have shown literally 0 fight back on the board. And I'm not saying it just because they're goose-egged in the kill column, because they are. I haven't seen attempted ganks from Chinfu. We haven't seen a coordinated effort to utilize the Neath ultimate. Like, if you're going to pick Neath mid, like, line up some combos. Try and make something happen with the ultimate itself. It has just been
Like this?
one side. I mean, maybe.
Grab something. Impale combo.
Okay, they got
No
him.
Neath
They got him.
ultimate. He's got to make it through. Primitive is here. Throws up a wall. That doesn't help much. Aegis buys a little bit of time, but with the Spirit Arrow on the way, will be the first kill. But
4
the
ultimates.
problem is that it was a 1-for-1 trade under the Tier 1 tower.
1-for-1 trade, 4 versus 1. Renjaru finds value regardless. With it being Chinfu that died, like, Chinfu's not worth a lot. Was 0-2 before that fight, so his bounty's pretty low, as opposed to what was a 2-0 Freya. Yeah, I mean, pretty value trade, I guess, had it been just a little bit cheaper, but because it forced the rotation from Mando Warrior, you lose Sops' ultimate as well. Dishonored's just going to pull further ahead because he didn't need to leave his lane. That is too little, too late. I would have liked to see that exact same play from the Weavers before the Sages put up 7 on the board.
I mean, not at 12 and a half minutes in, maybe at like 4 or 5 minutes into the game. Also, when it's a little bit easier to kill Renjaru, not when he's, oh god, now almost 2.5 rings deep into the build. Primitive should die here. I say should, but he's got some backup.
Oh, he's
no,
done.
he's definitely dead. There are 4. Priv will just buy some time with an extra shell. Renjaru's just going to wave farewell as there are 4 people still in his lane at this point. By the way, it's the same 4 who rotated over last time, minus the Neath ultimate. And I think they're just trying to get some time to get the Neathol.
Oh, they got him.
Picked up, taunted back in. Hey, there's the Neathol. Didn't even need it. I don't know. Weavers just keep deathball. It seems to be what's working for you.
Yeah, they found their strategy, and it's 4 versus 1. With numbers advantages like that, not much that the Athenian Sages could do about it. That was legitimately a very good pick onto Renjaru, though. The wherewithal of BSTJ to go into the Tier 2, realizing that Ultimate likely wasn't back up. Beads and Aegis were expended in that last fight as well. Just an easy grab. This, though, is becoming less good.
Ult on a Jengaru.
Or maybe not.
Beads and Aegis gone. Backfire gets him a little bit of distance.
They're psychos!
Hits Chinfu, puts him at half, and now Mando is rejoined. It is literally just the death ball composition. They are just running as 4 at all times in. Dishonored has finally joined the party. Renjaru is now back, and Short Fuse on the way up towards the tree. Where will he crash down? Chinfu is low and gone. Dishonored credit to that one. Short Fuse grabs Big Slim, and well, here's the problem with your death ball. There's one on the opposite side of the map, too. Jump over the last shot, and will not find it. Triple kill for Short Fuse, and 4 for 2 at the end.
And now it's a 6-0 Short Fuse, right? I mean, that's the issue with that play. That was the concern that I had initially. Fortunately, the Weavers were able to execute on it very well, found their picks off rip, but you're still 4-man on the green buff at the 15-minute mark. Sage has got a pretty easy time rotating back into that fight. Triple kill over to Short Fuse, and the lead does not adjust whatsoever. Imagine we see the Pyromancer pulled out here. Wouldn't be the fastest, but haven't seen too much response as of yet. At least Sop's nearby. Could keep it interesting.
Pyromancer down to a quarter. And they're waiting. Dishonor will go up, try and get the stop. Sages do secure the Pyromancer for themselves and a Greater Scorpion immediately afterwards. And now we're pushing upwards. Close to 6,000 gold. Chinfu takes one up in the sky. Sops has to cancel his ultimate charge because someone else had showed up to his lane. The turret plus Dishonored body blocking Chinfu. And the backfire damage, Jengaru grabs one. No blink from Big Slim to get in there and try and close out the gap. And another meatball will make sure that Big Slim cannot chase out Jengaru.
There's something funny about BSTJ just W-keying, like sees his homie die, says, I don't care. I'm getting that guy.
Got you, man.
And just keeps walking at him. I look down, I'm like, oh, no blink. And he's just still walking forward. The Weavers are a goofy bunch, man. They found a couple of kills, but they have not been able to close up that lead. And I don't imagine that changes as the Primal Fury's pulled out.
Well, Sop's on the way. Can he get there in time? Is it the bottom side of the pit? No, not even close. Does not make it there. So it's a Fury, Primal Fury this time around. Goes to the Athenian Sages, and well, that gold lead keeps climbing up, by the way. 7,000 gold. The Sages have this early on, 6,500 experience as well. And it's tough when you're only 17 in. But the Weavers are going to go
unrelenting
for a Fire Giant pull? They got all 5 here. It's just Dishonored.
You have to commit.
Yeah, at this point, you got to fight for the Fire Giant. Maybe Dishonored can play spoiler. Vulcan ultimate over the top. Not enough.
They got it.
The Weavers get fire, but Chinfu is down. Dishonored's still alive despite fighting against literally 5 people. Does end up going down. Jengaru versus 4 with help of Privative. Freeze. Locks in Mando. Jengaru takes out Sops. That's now 2 for 2 in the Fire Giant. Slow good by Privative. And no, Renjaru is on the way now. Wallace stop Diesel. Meatball Aegis away. Beads to get out of the banish, but there's not many places that Diesel can go. Not very far he can run. Privative gonna zone him away, force him into the tower, jump over the wall. Diesel, they just kind of left Diesel for a moment. There we go. Now the team's turning back and they should take him down. So 3 for 2 at the end of the day, and the only people who do have the buff left are your tanks.
Hey, you know, tanks, better than nobody, right? Considering the position that the game was in previously, that is probably a good trade. I'm thinking Fire Giant on 2, legitimately very good for the Weavers there. They're not going to be able to leverage it, but trajectory as it was, that Fire Giant would have been on all 5 of the Sages in like a minute. So I like it. You know, I'm with it, actually. Great call. They didn't like test the waters. It was a legitimate coin toss. Like they didn't have a vision advantage, the Weavers. They didn't see anybody, but it did work.
Oh no. Chinfu had the worst case scenario. Somebody had beads up whenever he sashed in. Up in the sky is Renjaru to get away from Big Slim's ult. Chinfu goes for the shot onto Primitive. Vulcan ults over the top. Chinfu erased off the map. Manda Warrior very likely to follow right after as he does to Renjaru. Short Fuse is shown up to the fight. And now it's just the dual lane left alive. A jump in by Dishonored, slow onto 2. And with all, well, 5 now under the tower with Short Fuse there. Diesel able to escape. Big Slim still holding out, but Diesel down.
He still has fire.
Big Slim is gone.
Okay.
With the meatball after. Double kill for Jengaru, now all 5 without a fire.
Well, it was not the longest-lived Fire Giant power play that I had ever seen.
Wasn't the shortest one.
Wasn't the shortest one either. You know, we've seen shorter. The Athenian Sages are they're playing like SMITE, right? Like this is standard SMITE. They've got normal picks. Their builds are normal. They've got the right relics. They're putting down wards. And then you look over the Weavers and they're playing eccentric picks that are very expressive with a composition that is not exactly normal, with a pace of match that is not exactly recommended. You won't see it in any YouTube tutorials. I don't care how many Final K clips you watch. He's not going to tell you to do what they're doing, but they're certainly doing it. That's it.
And that's all you got to ask from sometimes. Just we always, players always say, we got to play our own style, and
they
the
found
Weavers
they got an identity.
They found their style, and they are sticking to it. Whether that 4-man death ball works or not, they're gonna do it until they can't any longer. Might not be much longer for Subs.
Okay.
He backflips away after the beads, finds a root with the weave. Vulcan ultimate ages away by Sop, so he's still living through that. Hasn't taken much, but Jinfu's down. Jengaru
they got
able
him.
to beads away. Jump in by Diesel. Should get the kill. Aegis down now, so it should be a pick for Diesel to the back line. So a 1-for-2 trade. But unfortunately,
1 for 3.
Short Fuse was there. And
4.
Well, now 1 for 4. Big Slim a little bit late to the party. I was wondering if he was going to W key in to join the rest of his team, but he will wisely back away as the 4 still alive for the Sages push up the mid T2.
And they've still got minion wave. I mean, Renjaru's not the best on Siege. Like, Freya doesn't deal damage to structures, but I just don't think BSTJ is going to be doing a lot, man. I don't know what's given me that idea. I don't know what I could have seen recently from BSTJ to make me think he's not going to do a lot on defense, but I don't think he is.
Well, he also blinked backwards.
I think that might have been it, yeah.
He blinked back. Chinfu goes in. Didn't have ult, just sashed because he could. And he did. Didn't get anything away from that one, though. So Relic's still down for Jengar. There's the silver lining for the Anansi Weavers. They know their next target. They know that they can try and kill the Vulcan next time within the next 104 seconds. But that is a tall task and a rough mountain to climb for the Weavers to try and get that pick.
Well, I mean, the execution is simple. Chinfu lands ultimate, and then somebody follows up. Profit. Chinfu lands ultimate, profit. There it is. Jengaru's gotta watch out. He's got a target on his back. But I don't think it's any different, right? I mean, the Weavers have been running down Jengaru or Renjaru or Short Fuse at times, regardless of gold experience, what cooldowns you have, what relics are up or not up, or where they are or where they aren't. Not a single thing that the Athenian Sages have done this game has weighed even for a moment on the minds of the Weavers. The Weavers are playing their own game, and they are not looking at their enemies. They're doing what they're going to do, and they are not accepting any new information. They're not curious. They're not interested. They're doing what they do.
Fire Giant. This time by the Sages, and it's only Big Slim to try and stop it. The lone Cerberus. He's doing everything he can to get to that pit, but he does not make it there. Sages grab fire. Big Slim likely to follow after. Jump by Dishonored. The Rend after. Big Slim, now he won't make it through. Wall is good. Short Fuse ultimate in place. And
good blink.
Shinfu's gone. Mando's out. There's silver lining for him as he's alive along with Sops and Diesel, so there's some defense. What is Diesel is split pushing left Phoenix. He's got to go back. You can't back now. Dishonored is already here.
Yeah, I mean, he can walk back.
It'll
take him a while.
That's a long walk back.
I'm sure the Weavers would like him on this Phoenix defense, but what Phoenix defense?
Doesn't seem to be any. Well, no, Sops is there, and Sops is gone. So is the Phoenix.
I mean, it's a Neath. What was he going to do? Unravel. Haha, gotcha.
Slower attack speed.
It's going to take you a half second longer.
That's 2 Phoenixes away. Tier 2 tower surprisingly still up in that duo lane. I thought with the fact that there were 5 people on the Sages deathballing the left side like 7 minutes ago and that tower's still up might be the most surprising thing to me that the Sages have done is they didn't take that tower yet, but it's just a quick sneeze away once the Sages go over to the wall, take that one down, and now it's only the left Phoenix left.
Oh, Chinfu, big ultimate here, catches out Privative. He has taken damage. You won't see it reflected in the HP bar, but I guarantee you he has taken some.
Oh, Soft Sages and Beads and Life. Mando charges ult, dies immediately after. That's 3, so it's now just the dual lane. Cerberus ults up, into the back, finds 5, but only throws 4, so good damage with the stun after. Short Fuse is low. Titan hasn't taken a whole lot of damage yet. Now half HP with the fire minions there. Short Fuse spinning just for the sake of spinning. Will go up onto the tree. Dunk down into the fountain because why not?
Got him.
Diesel gets a kill. But the Titans should go down here in game number 1 to the Sages, barring maybe an extra couple of kills on top.
A hard-fought battle in game 1 between 2 absolute Goliaths. Back and forth, macro play, unpredictable. Rule 1 in the art of war, according to Sun Tzu, is to appear strong when you are weak and to appear weak when you are strong. And I think the Weavers absolutely played into that. When they were weak, they're sieging your base literally in your Titan room at the 9-minute mark. When they were strong, they weren't strong.
Well, they were W keying as a 4-man squad to appear strong. Unfortunately, that plan kind of backfired once they deathballed into the enemy green buff, and then Short Fuse showed up and found a triple kill there, and that kind of felt like the final nail in the coffin. Even with a good Fire Giant pull, it was a play that you kind of talk about. We'll maybe dive in maybe a little bit more on the game on that one there. Fire Giant pull delays the game a little bit longer.
If you say so, what was that, 24 minutes?
But I don't know how much it delayed it there. We'll take a quick break from game number 1. We'll come back with game 2 right after this.
Couple trees getting been raining for days now, been running like a child. Can't feel the cold when I'm lost here with you, lost in the woods, lost as I should. I barely see the sky now, we're safe under the trees. You tell me about your secrets and I'm falling madly. You'll catch me right, I'll be alright.
Game number 1 of our third set and the first of the NASCC sets today goes over to the Athenian Sages. Took them just under 25 minutes of play, but they're able to dominate game number 1 and get themselves off on the right foot to get themselves that much closer to taking the number 2 seed for the North American SCC, or at least keep themselves in contention for that number 2 seed out there. But game number 1, at least for the Weavers, Mifflin, very strange draft coming out from there. I mean, top picking in Neath, probably not something that most teams out there are doing. Running this very death ball style of composition, had shining moments, but were quickly dashed away once they started taking those moments a little too far.
You know, when I look at the Weavers, I see revolutionaries, pioneers, people that are not willing to conform to the standardized, homogenized meta that has been established by the professional SMITE players who may have discovered what works, right? That's garbage, okay? If we didn't have people like the Weavers, when would the iPhone come to be? Would Edison have made whatever he made? Would Alexander Graham Bell have said we could talk into a piece of metal and hear it across the world? Absolutely not. What we have in this Weavers team is a squad that is unafraid and unabashed in their approach to SMITE game. They're not going to allow you to change them. They won't be shamed into playing what you want them to play. And it may not work all the time. It took maybe 80 iterations until the light bulb finally illuminated a room. But eventually it did. And I'm just waiting for that day for the Weavers.
That day didn't happen in game number 1, but I need to stretch the imagination. Again, shining moments by them, a fire giant to maybe slow the game down by an extra minute or so at most, but outside of there, the Weavers found their success in the early death balls, but those early compositions and those early styles did not pan out whenever it came to the mid and even the late game, if we can even call 20 to 25 minutes the late game stage.
And you know, your perception of time was ingrained upon you by those exact same people in the positions of power. How about you decide to perceive things on your own? If you thought that was late game JMac, I want you to speak it confidently in the world. You think if Chinfu was on the desk right now, he would have said late game ? He would have said that was the late game absolutely, because he doesn't allow other people to tell him how to think.
You know what, Mifflin? You're right. That was the late game. Because the game was over just a couple minutes later. So then that then becomes the end game.
But now you're just letting me tell you what to think, man. And you're still being bent by my will, all right? Say what you want to say, J-Mac. What does Justin McClanahan have to share?
Oh, God, you used my full name,
That's right.
too. I haven't heard that in so long. I don't even think my parents call me by my full name anymore.
I'm sorry, they gave you that one.
I don't even think my parents call me Justin
They gave
anymore.
you a name they don't like? What's going on?
No, they just call me J-Mac.
Understood.
They really never called me Justin. It's so weird.
They never called you Justin.
No, they have called me that. They
Surely.
They just really don't that much anymore.
Understood.
I don't think anybody here. At most, I get called like Jay by Hindu.
He calls you Jay?
Yeah, it's like Jay. Just shorten it.
Man, Hindu trying real hard to be hip, huh? That's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, I've been informed that we are ready for picks and bans for game number 2, so let's go ahead and jump into those ones. Anansi Weavers and the Athenian Sages. We'll see if the Weavers can bounce themselves back, or the Athenian Sages going to run away with this one on a 2-0 to get themselves a final win for their Mark of the Phase. Week 5, final week of play for these teams. Can the Weavers find a win? Can they be able to claw themselves back and put a win in their column? I think at the end of the day, that's what they want, but if anything, maybe at least just play a spoiler, get a game away from the Sages.
That would be my only goal. In their position, that would be my only goal. This would be me as a Weaver playing at my absolute best just to ruin somebody else's season. But clearly we haven't seen it just yet from the Weavers. Adaptations, not quite there just yet. Certainly targeting maybe one of the big names on the side of the Sages. Privative not allowed to play his God pool. Similarly, the Sages, they stick with what they've already established. Why let Sylvanas through? Yeah, that guy just works real well.
Been working all right for Chinfu. AMC,
Sure.
though, has finally been picked up. Kind of been ignored a little bit. Was banned in game number 1, I believe, by the Weavers. Now picked up in place of what I imagine would have been the Neath for Sops, but this allows a Ratatosker to go back over to the jungle for the Sages. Short Fuse, who ended with, like, I think a 10 or 11 game kill streak or something like that there. Ends pretty well for himself. And then Cernanos has popped his way in. We've been seeing a little bit of Cernanos kind of pop in and out of the meta.
That god's just good. And
pretty
I'm
fun.
not just saying that because Zapman put him in the S tier of the Hunter tier list. I'm also saying it because the god is just good. Because we had established earlier,
Right.
don't allow other people to dictate
Right.
how you think. Instead, evaluate information for yourself and come to your own conclusions. So I'm evaluating the information myself, and I've come to the conclusion that that god is good.
What conclusion do you come to with Hercules specifically? Because that's been picked up with On Her for the Weavers. So how do you feel about Hercules? Is Hercules good for you, Mifflin?
Yeah, I mean, one visionary to another. Chinfu may think that Hercules is real cool in the jungle, especially with a crit build, and that's his vision. Me personally, it's not in my vision. You know, it's not something I would choose for me. But you know, given the resources and the information that Chinfu has acquired throughout his life, maybe that has come to lead him to these conclusions. And who am I to yuck his yum?
We also did have a crit support Hercules in our matchup against the pros during the Invitational. That worked out. Didn't work out amazing to begin with.
No.
But did end up popping off later on.
Is that true?
It did.
I don't remember that at all.
You blanked that game out of your memory
Was I
entirely.
playing that game?
You were in that game indeed. You were solo laning that game.
And there was a crit Herc?
There's a crit hurt.
Was it on my team?
Yes, it was on our team. He was
Okay,
my
well,
support.
yeah, that's why. I didn't. You know,
You're on
not
the
in
opposite-
my vision.
You're
yeah.
on the opposite
On
side of the map.
map.
Gotcha. Understood.
That's right.
Understood. Ares and Nike for the Sages, and then Thor and Kuzenbo picked up for the Weavers. Now, I love Kuzenbo. I think he's a lot of fun. I'm not exactly sure where this one is going because... No, actually, double Hunter, Thor for the jungle, actually.
You think it's Thor Jungle, huh?
No, actually I don't.
Yeah.
I thought for a moment, but then I realized this is the Weavers, this is Chinfu, he's playing the Hercules jungle most likely.
So that would leave us with Thor in the solo lane probably, but also could flex support. Kuzenbo the exact same position, right? The only certainty I have looking at this Weavers draft is that Herc is going into the jungle and will have a Wind Demon at some point.
Wind Demon Hercules. Well, up against it is a Morrigan in the mid lane, the Morrigan to be specifically, for
Yeah.
mid lane of the Athenian Sages. Sages had a pretty dominant game number 1. It's up to them to see if they can keep that ball rolling in game number 2 and find themselves up against some more kind of eclectic picks that the Weavers have gone with. This Kuzenbo, I'm not even for sure guaranteeing that this is going over into the support role. Knowing the fact that Big Slim used to be a jungler, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this Thor maybe go over there for support. Could see some fun. We'll see where everything lands out. Game number 2 between the Weavers and the Sages. Rip-roaring and ready to go. See if the Weavers can find a bounce back, take game number 2, and push us to a third. But no, it will. Wait.
Whoa!
Big Slim on the Herc support.
It was Kuzenbo Jungle all along. The real Kuzenbo Jungle was the friends we made along the way. I'm such an idiot. I'm dumb.
Actually, I've been informed it's a role swap.
I'm so dumb. Of course it was role swaps. The true junglers were the friends we made along the way. Of course, dude. BSTJ, obviously going to be playing Herc Jungle. That's not a Chinfu exclusive. That's not a Anansi Weaver tech. We should have known.
Big Slim, like I said, he was a jungler at one point when he went by his previous name of Cope Baby.
That's Cope?
That's Cope. Cope is dope.
Oh, boy.
Used to be playing back in the days with, I think he was actually a student of Weekend at the time, whenever he was going actually
He was a
to play.
student of Kurt Schrey? That's what?
Indeed.
When you say student, what do you mean?
I mean, like, Kurt kind of taught him a lot of what he had known at the time. In fact, I believe.
And what
Cope's
year is
team-
this?
This was like season 5, 6, I believe.
So we got downward spiral Kurt Schrey passing on the teachings to Cope, who has since rebranded to BSTJ, that put him in a position in the 2022nd year of our Lord and Savior, in the 11th month, to be playing a Hercules jungle in front of my eyes. Thanks, Weekend.
I think Cope's team actually even beat Weekend the year that they had to face off during the World's qualifiers,
Heck yeah, dude.
when the student surpasses the master.
Oh, man. We'll see. We'll see if the student... BSTJ really hit Chinfu with the hold on, I'll do it myself.
Wait, why is he W King at a tier 1 tower this early on and losing? that match of the Tier 1.
What? Come
Big
on,
sl-
you answered the second part of that sentence with the first part, right? Why is he in the Tier 1 tower losing? Come on, come on, bro. Because he's in the Tier 1 tower. We know.
Fair. You're gonna break me by the time this cast is over.
Sure, dude.
You're already getting there with me now, Miff. But BSTJ, there we go. I'll give you the one. I remember the acronym this time around.
I should hope
On the
so.
Hercules jungle with the Mannequin Scepter? Wait, was Chinfu running Mannequin Scepter Hercules whenever he was running the jungle? Or was he running I?
I don't know, man. I'll keep it real. Hercules and Sylvanas jungle are in one ear, out the other for me. You know, it didn't work and it hasn't worked and it keeps happening. So you know, when it does work, maybe I'll take note.
Big Slim. I shouldn't say Chinfu now over into the support role. I think this is the third role we've seen Chinfu play competitively in the SEC just this year. Subbed in as a hunter player at one point, playing in the duo
Multi-role
lane.
prodigy, man.
Then moved over to the jungle for this team. Now back in the support. We've got pros who only ever stick to one role at a time. Chinfu's out here playing them all.
We've
He's
had
collecting them
pros
like the Stones.
benched because they couldn't play 3 roles, right? Isn't that
Right.
why Sam for Soccer got the boot? Because he couldn't play actually 3 roles? Jay Dragons, take note, man. Chinfu, that's your guy.
You got your multi-role prodigy ready to go. Well, he hasn't hit mid yet, so we haven't found somebody to replace Pagon yet. Pagon's
Darn
shown that he's
it.
gotten to 2.
Yeah, well, Pagon's shaking now.
Look, if Chinfu adds mid to that roster, we could be seeing a shake-up to the Jade Dragons next year.
I'm thinking so, right? And how hard it is to play mid right now? He's already played Hunter, so you got the AMC. All you need to learn is Vulcan, and one of those abilities plays itself, so...
He's played Assassins.
He plays Assassins.
He's got the
Might
jungle
he can
portion
play
down.
Set. Yeah,
Yeah, you can throw that in there.
get Chinfu active. Someone... I'll be his agent. I'll talk to
Wait,
some
did
people.
what? Did a chain steal that, or did the Scepter steal that purple buff?
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
I can't believe. I mean, I know that.
It doesn't tell us. The ability doesn't tell us if it stole a buff, Doug. Come on, man. Oh, he was saying it was searing flesh.
Oh,
he
the
was
fire.
saying it was searing
Oh,
flesh.
the fire. Okay, he was
Yeah.
correct us and letting us know. Thank you, Doug, for showing
Appreciate
which
it,
ability
Doug.
did kill it. No, Doug's a champ.
He really. I mean, he watches more Smite than literally anybody else.
He has.
I don't care how much of a Smite super fan you are.
I think Doug has more hours spectating Smite than like 99%. I'd say even 99.99% of the community have playing the game.
Yeah, I'd say I would love to see Doug's like Steam. You know, like
Oh, that'd
how
be
many
so-
hours does this guy have in this game?
Spectating this game.
Do you think like Doug ever stinks it up in a casual lobby and they check his Steam profile and like, bro, you got 50,000 hours. Like you should be better.
But then they look at the account, it's like level 100 or something like that. It's like, how do you have 50,000 hours?
This guy
but-
must just lose a lot.
Like, what is happening? Looks like over in the dual lane, what is happening? It's a dunk in by Short Fuse. And second verse, same as the first. Pressure to the dual lane, first blood for the Sages.
Man, that's crazy that they could roll swap and still have it be the exact same situation. Athenian Sages, they've got a more aggressive duo lane this time around as well, so expect Privative to leverage the lead. Previously, it was first blood over to Renjaru on a Freya, so just had to wait a little while. That gold helped out. Now on Ares with the lead, he might just solo you on his own.
Privative just very casually strolled up to Diesel. I was going for the chains. Diesel just jumped into both.
Well, it's
He's
because
got
Shinfu's
here. But Renjaru doesn't care that Shinfu is here, and that might just be an additional kill for the Athenian Sages.
No.
Oh, by the way, Short Fuse never really left the jungle. He's come back to the fight. Blink dart, stun off the mark. Short Fuse pushed in a tower. Does Shinfu get the kill?
Oh, defense aura! Defense
Not
aura!
quite enough. Sages don't kill the support. Don't lose their jungle. They just find the one on Diesel.
Bro, Privative is different, dude. He ticked over to level 6 on wave, put a point into bolster defense, and then run down his homie to give over the prots to make sure the tower didn't kill. Like, I'm no mathematician, but I'm thinking without those prots, that guy's dead.
Jingaru transforms to avoid the damage from Diesel. Sops being ran out by a Nike. Ren not going to be stopped, but not enough damage. And now Privative is here. Diesel, who just came by to help his buddy escape, now being chained up by Priv. Blink push by Big Slim. Privative should go down. No escape is meant for him, because he's going to the grave instead.
Sick transition, man.
So bad.
No escape for
him.
Privative, though. Call an ambulance, not for me. Chinfu doing what Chinfu do, and that's a whole lot of this. Just running them down. Jengaru is legitimately under 0 threat as of right now. All Jengaru has to do is keep his eyes on the screen and he won't die. But Chinfu's going to make sure those eyes stay on the screen.
Short fuse missed everything but the spin, and that's because that's in a circle around him, hard to miss. So Sops doesn't lose out. Well, his relics are already gone. Maybe that's why Short Fuse targeted him out there in the mid lane, but gets to live and gets to go back and pick up a Transcendence of his own. Sops sitting pretty in mid for now.
Yeah, I'd forgot that Sops was in the game because he's like not trolling. He's playing AMC, which is just not a Weaver's play. But so far hasn't seen too much pay dirt, and considering he is playing the most aggressive, heaviest pusher in the game in mid that has dictated every single draft in the SPL, it is worth noting that he is legitimately like a half level to a 3/4 of a level behind on Jangaru on the other side. Oh, Primitive's different. Was that blind?
I think that was.
Primitive's different, dude.
I think Primitive walked up, saw the two of them, and then just blind shot said, yeah, he's probably backing right here.
My man's playing with the 2009 first COD lobby ever. He's got the Turtle Beach headset on, listening for footsteps, and he heard the back start and said, chain. I mean, it was cool.
Got him. Stopped the back. Kept Diesel here, who's down 2 levels to Renjaru. It's a level down for Sops in mid, level down for Bando. I forgot solo lane existed. We were talking about mid lane. I forgot that solo was a thing because literally nothing's happened on that side of the map just yet. It's all been here in mid. Son of the Sops, second chain misses by Priv, but he'll go down. Short Fuse finds a kill. Duncan by Mando.
He's all right.
Doesn't find anything. No escape, pulls Mando back in. Nice hammer. Double kill for Short Fuse.
Yeah, I mean, AMC on your tower line at the 8-minute mark, probably not ideal. Mando Warrior dunking when your mid laner's like already dead, probably not ideal. But they know that. Here's the thing about Mando Warrior. He's been playing this game as long as I have. And I've been playing since Season 0. Like, Barracuda, on his way up to win the world stage at launch tournament, like, stomped on me the night before in ranked, right? And Mando Warrior was there, too, watching. And he's still making plays like that wild. Wouldn't be me. Wouldn't let it happen to me.
Well, it's not happening to you. Instead, we're watching it happen to him instead.
Yeah, those who can't cast or something.
Sops chained again. Second one off the mark. I mean, Sops will be fine. Well, I say that, but Short Fuse is here. Duncan, Jangaru, and Primitive to make sure that one goes their way. Kill for Jangaru.
Oh, let's go.
Big Slim gets the pull, gets the push. Primitive should go down. Chain connects.
Massive.
But Big Slim gets the second kill of the game for the Weavers. Now chasing out Jangaru, who's lost his stealth. Speed buff's going to help him catch up. Pushes him out of the stun. Needs a little bit of help. Boulder is good. Double kill for Big Slim in the jungle.
He's not done.
Can it be a triple on the Short Fuse?
Oh, he's done. He's done.
He said, all right, I got my 2. Let's take the win and let's move.
That's like almost as many kills as they had in the previous match, and that's just on BSTJ. Chinfu got to be concerned now about his spot in the jungle.
Losing his role now.
Yeah, he's like, yo, I don't want to play support forever, you know? Even though he does play Sylvanas jungle and like Geb jungle. Maybe he does want to play support?
Maybe he does. Maybe he was really the support all along, but he just didn't know how to build the support role.
Well, if we're talking about builds, I wouldn't be looking at the Weavers, all right? I'm looking at like an Axe, Blackthorn, Hammer, Thor solo.
Oh, big stinger damage on a Renjaru. That's another one for Big Slim. He'll go down and Sops right after. Ooh. Short Fuse, kill for him. Diesel, big damage on to Short Fuse. Chain from Priviv will stop the other two, and they'll deal with a buff instead. Purple buff is successfully stopped, or at least picked up for Diesel in Chinfu. Short Fuse hasn't left yet. Has blink though, should be fine. He actually blinks to go back in against Diesel. Finds the kill. Chain on the Chinfu will stop any push. Stun, locks him in place. Jangaru's here to slow this one down. No dash.
Well, Chinfu's got this.
Chinfu's, he just got ultimate. What? Needs a little bit more. Needs another.
Get that Nene.
Oh no, he gave up. He decided to Nene instead and got Nene'd on.
Well, a lot of people would have gave up way sooner, you know, and they'd say, look, I gave up, but I maintained my life. Chinfu pushed it to the limit, all right? He is limit testing here in the last week of the SEC, and who can fault him, you know? Everybody else in this lobby, or at least on the side of the Athenian Sages, have got winning on the mind. Chinfu's got self-improvement on the mind, all right? He's going to come back stronger. Put away the charts, Doug. I'm going to let the game tell me how to think about this match. I respect the intelligence not only of myself and my co-caster, but everyone in chat. They know what's going down. We don't need the charts.
Short Fuse on the way. Be a little shy. No, did manage to get it, but Knock immunity from Mando. Ren just out of distance. And a push in by Big Slim.
This guy's
That's
different.
another kill. He's kind of crazy in the jungle. Maybe Big Slim does go back to the jungle. He's kind of popping. 4 and 1 for the Hercules. Jukes out the chain from Privative. Sops. Tries to get away from Jengaru, but he only runs so far. Off the tree, onto the ground, and well, into the grave for Sops. Dishonored, level 12.
Oof.
Jumps over the push. It's 3 versus 2. Privative is just in the middle. He actually got a chain on all 3 of them there. But Big Slim probably done with this fight unless he can find a pickup on the Privative right here. No, ultimate from Priv. Outplay goes 3, gets 2 ultimates out of that one.
Big dunk.
Dunk in by Mando, needs a little bit more. Double chain, triple chain. Privative is fine, actually gets pushed away from the hammer. Mando does have to TP into it to get the kill. Dishonor pushed against the wall, pushed against the wall again. Body blocked by 4.
Let's go!
And, hey, they brought the death ball back.
The Weavers found what worked in game 1, and they stick with it in game 2. They love simply outnumbering the enemy. And I'm thinking the Sages are just okay with it because they're going to split push elsewhere. Even in getting all those kills, I mean, BSTJ is like 5 and 1.
It's kind of crazy.
That's the weekend tutelage right there. I could smell the Kurt Schrey play from a mile away, man. BSTJ smearing it all over the battleground of the gods. God bless. It's like smells like 9 cars, 300 pairs of shoes, and Prada. That is nice.
Doug panned over to the tier 2 and went, huh, that's weird. I don't see a tower there, and I realized the tower got taken.
Yeah, they were split pushing.
I thought it was invisible for a moment. It's like the invisible boatmobile, except it's the invisible tier 2 tower.
You thought Doug was like, yo, check out this sick bug.
Check out the 6 skin, the invisible tower skin. It's pretty cool. Oh, tier 2's gone. Oh no, we're right back to this, but it's 3 versus 1 the other way around. Big Slim's on the way. Let's see if he can. Okay, no, he stopped in his play. He stopped in trying. Okay, 2 versus 1 against Django. 3 with Shinfu here. Nene's there, stun against the wall. There you go. Keep running the death ball, but now it's death ball on the opposite side. Big Slim will just let this tier 1 tower go.
Well, he can't. He's worth probably more than the tower right now, legitimately at 5 and 1. So, BSTJ made a value calculation and said that I ain't dying for this. But now with Shinfu and the boys on the way.
Double push from Big Slim. Chain off the mark by Priv. And now with Shinfu and Diesel here. Impale against Renjaru. Pinned against the wall. Aegis not enough. Needs a couple more autos.
Oh
He hits
God.
the dash. How is he still alive? Pick back up and finally put down. Diesel credit to that kill, but Sops is zoning the other 2 by himself. The level 12 AMC keeping back the 2 tanks of the Sages.
Yeah, this is a
arena.
deceptive game state in that it's only about 3,000 separating these 2 teams, but it just feels like the Sages are dominating. We'll reevaluate that opinion after the Pyro, though.
Pyro. Picked up by the Sages.
Weaver's dub.
Dishonored. Use the ultimate against 4.
Whoa.
Up in the sky. God, that boulder slammed. Well, a miss push by Big Slim. Won't fault him there. Changaru with a transformation. Dishonored. Goes down, but no
Ooh,
escape
big
from
ult.
Privative. Will pull 4 people back. Well, no, I'm sorry. It was only 3 at the time. Sops was just out of way. Changaru goes down. Privative, the last one standing from the initial fight that had taken place on the right side.
This is a different look for the Weavers. They're playing around objectives. They're keeping the team fight rolling. They're not falling too far behind. Could work. It could. I was gonna keep looking. Shinfu knows his numbers. I gotta put some more respect on that
There
guy.
wasn't even a tower there. Why'd he just stop?
Well, you know, he stopped because he knew there was nothing Privative could do about it. You know, he stopped to spit on him on the way out. You
Why
know,
didn't dance on him at that point?
are you allowed to dance when you're taking damage? I don't think so.
I don't know, actually.
You know, legitimate question that I had thought of earlier and then thought better of asking because I was like, why are we doing analysis on a match like this? But I'll ask it anyway.
Okay.
Do you think if Jengaru turns into Ares at level 20, right, and they both use bolster defense, is that 100 procs for everybody that's procced by both? Do you think it procs twice?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't 100% know, but I
Because
also
like that could be crazy.
that could go crazy. We're being informed that if you have multiple Raws that the healing boost stack, so it's quite possible
Yeah, maybe.
that
yeah,
with
why not?
that the Ares it could do so. I don't see why it
That would be
wouldn't.
100 protections.
That's a
both
lot.
ways, like magical and physical.
And that's a lot.
It is like it's like 2
that's-
items.
That's like 2.5 items.
It's like
even.
2.5 items.
Short fuse on the tree. Won't find anybody because he's too far away. Chinfu stun. Still not level 12 yet on the big Kappa himself. Diesel gets an impale onto Priv. Big Slim is soloing Jengaru. Boulder
You wish.
aegis away.
That's Jengaru.
Jengaru's living. Chinfu runs back in. Mando missed the dunk. Priv finds a few with the ultimate, but doesn't get a chance to pull them back in because he is dead. Double pick up by Big Slim right into the watery grave. It's a kill for Mando Warrior. At the end of the day, killing spree for the solo laner of the Weavers.
Big Slim Timmy Jim is single-handedly trying to push this to a game 3. Now he's just got to corral his boys towards the Fire Giant. Nah, BSTJ is getting active. It's time to fight in the Tier 1.
Oh, he's back behind. Renjaru, watch out. Oh, well, Jengaru predicted that one. Oh, pick up. Not going to predict that one. Aegis. Jengaru misses the stun, and only carries lets sit by and watch as Big Slim and Mando Warrior wreak havoc throughout the jungle. Tier 1 tower will be fine.
Oh, no way we pull it now, guys.
Now they're pulling. Fire Giant is ready to go.
It's been a little while. I don't know if you could do this.
Actually, they're pulling it later than they did in game 1.
Jengaru's got
Problem
global.
is, they're not nearly as healthy as they were. Jengaru here, stealthed out. Throws some damage against Sobs. Jumps in. Boulder.
He got it.
Does not secure it. Jengaru's able to grab the Fire Giant for himself. Does go down at the end of the day, but a steal for the Sage is 3 with the buff.
If the Weavers get that fire, they could just have won off of it, but they lost it to a Nike leap. I mean, that's poetic. Can we get a look at Jengaru's level order? Worth noting, when you use Changeling, it maintains your level order.
I don't think we can because he's dead.
No, we can. All right,
Oh,
it's
there you
maxed
go. There you
out. My man's not putting points into Changeling?
No, he's not.
Is that standard? Am I out of touch? Because, like, reducing
that's
the
a massive
cooldown...
cooldown difference.
Like, reducing the cooldown's, like, big, and you, like, kind of pick the Morrigan so that you can, you know, be someone else most of the time. I was going to say, pretty sure that the leap wouldn't have been maxed yet, but it was.
Wow.
That was a maxed Nike leap to steal the
With-
Fire Giant
Glad
from
Shield,
a Morrigan.
Glad Shield.
Yeah,
and
this guy's
Warrior's
not
Axe.
even maxing his leap, you know?
he's
This guy's not
not.
even doing it. Jengaru maxed Nike leap before
sh-
Nike.
He's showing him, hey, this is what happens if you do max this ability. You
Yeah.
can steal a Fire Giant too.
Dishonored's sitting there like, man, you're so
big
right,
brain.
Jengaru. That's big damage.
What do I need a bigger shield for? I could
HP
just get more
shields?
leap damage.
All right, so
Crazy.
Fire Giant now on 3 members of the Athenian Sages. Not the ADC, not the mid laner, so Siege not exactly strong, but doesn't need to be if you're able to pick Diesel.
Ult from Diesel. Surrounded by 3. No, sorry, he jumped. What? Jumped back in? Well, Diesel will likely go down. No, Mando dunks in, doesn't find anybody. No escape from Privative. Will pull only one. It's just Diesel. Dunked in
got
by
him.
Short Fuse. Took him a while to get there, but at the end of the day, they still get him. Sops will go down as well. Big Slim fighting Dishonored by himself in the back. I don't know if that's a fight you want to take, Dishonored. Big Slim's kind of crazy. Chinfu against 2. That's a unfortunate losing battle for the support. Jengaru transforms into the Ratatosker, stops the back of Mando Warrior, keeps stopping the back of Mando Warrior. And Big Slim actually not wanting to fight against Dishonored. We'll let him live. But unfortunately for his Phoenix, it probably won't be the same story as left side Phoenix just being taken by the Sages.
Yeah, Privative resets, but minion waves there, and the left side bird no longer there, doing its best Houdini impression, disappears. As Mando Warrior
He tried to
tries to slam a clone that was standing still, whiffed it. There's 3 H's in that, whiffed it, and then stared at an NPC in an attempt to evoke empathy from the crowd, and it worked.
But one-
I feel bad for Mando Warrior.
3 H's, but 1 lone F in the chat for it.
Whiffed it, dude. Yeah, can we get an F in the chat for Mando? That's tough, dude.
Maybe 3 H's as
My
well.
man just lost his bird, yeah, and then he's got to go through that. That's tough.
Mental shattered.
I mean, I'd throw up the F6 vote.
Game over.
It might be.
Well, 20 minutes in, 17-17 as far as the kills are concerned. And with the start that the Sages had, I mean, they were nearly 4,000 gold up like 10 minutes ago, are now only 4,500 gold up at this point. The Weavers have at least done a good job of holding out and keeping this game going a little bit longer. But the Athenian Sages have already taken 1 Phoenix, and now the Trebuchet pushing in mid, trying to force a fight. Maybe around this Pyromancer.
Where's he going, dude?
Mando's up in the sky, dunks and finds.
He got the
No.
clone, bro. he got his revenge. Yo, that's crazy. You got it, Mando. Let's go, buddy. Wow.
You got me there, Miff.
He got the clone. Like, Mando got you, not me.
That's true.
I'm
That
just,
is true.
I'm just the messenger.
Sages get the tier 2 tower. Mando, be careful. Throws the wall so that way he doesn't have to deal with 4. Instead, it's just the 1 in short fuse. Dishonored jumps over the wall. No escape finds 1. And it's Mando, losing a lot of HP. Actually gets sundered. Throws up another wall to block off 4 again. But unfortunately, some of those 4 can just go over the wall. Mando
Privative.
just
Whoa.
wants to go back. Privative will be sent back to base by Diesel on the grayscale screen. And it's now 18 kills for the Weavers, 22 minutes in.
Bro, the Weavers' greatest strategy here was dragging the Sages into their pace. I don't know how they accomplished it. The Sages came into the previous game stone-faced, right? We're going to play the meta picks. We're going to take it serious. We're going to rotate like normal SMITE players. We're going to get on the objectives. And then in game 2, the Sages, I don't know, they caught a second hand or something. Like the fumes caught up to them because they are playing a little different. And if you're going to play the Weavers game, the Weavers just got more experience at it, you know? Like, they've been doing it longer. They know what's up. And they'll turn it around every single time.
Big Slim's 9-1.
Yeah, well, we've been known he was different.
I think that's actually more kills than they got the entirety of game 1.
No.
I think so.
No, they had like 11, surely.
I thought it was like 7.
Okay, well.
My memory's not the best, though.
So he's affected He's affected 17 of the 18 kills?
He's crazy.
Yo.
I think you put Big Slim back in the jungle. This guy's kind of crazy with it.
You know, Shinfu, I don't know what to say, man. Like, he's playing your pick and he's doing it better, all right? Just give it up. You could be a support from now on. BSTJ supremacy.
Just complete the gauntlet at this point, Jinfu. Just go for mid, then play some solos. That way you can collect all the stones. Become Thanos for the league, for your team. Mando Warrior. Where was that dunk even going
My
to?
man was hoping a clone showed up or something.
Well, unfortunately, there's no clones for him this time around. Dishonored forced to ult away. Stopped by a pillar. Throws up a barrier, says, please God, stop hitting me so I can walk away. And he does get to walk away because of it. He'll go back to base. Oh, by the way, Fire Minions are pushing into the Titan.
No.
Somebody's got to go back. It's Mando Warrior.
He's got a lot of damage. This is going to be quick. Watch.
Okay, there's hammer, spin. Okay, that wasn't quite
Use
enough.
the wall,
you got the
Mando.
Wall. The wall does damage, Mando.
Mando,
Hit
use
it.
the wall.
Use the
Mando, your Titan's
use the
dying.
wall.
All right.
All right, well, no wall there. Fire Giant started. Big Slim. Jengaru actually transformed. Dunked in by
Oh,
Shortfuse. Oh my god, they did a
no.
lot of damage. Diesel's gone. Stinger
Oh,
just off the mark.
no.
Big Slim, no! The win con is down! Big Slim down, double for Short Fuse. Jengaru
Chinfu.
picked up Sops.
The hero.
Transformed into a goat, pulled to his own doom, and, well, Privative will get the credit for that kill. Only Mando Warrior left alive, who's been dealing with the Fire Minion waves on the left side the whole time. And he's just going, guys, what happened?
You know, it's not glamorous work, but it's honest work. You know, don't wanna lose to AI. Much prefer to lose to the Sages, and they will make you lose any second. I thought they would just go down left, grab the Phoenix, end the game.
Nah.
Grab the towers,
They don't got
the
minions
mid
there.
Phoenix, then end the game surely.
Nah, they didn't have minions in left.
Okay, we're ending.
Okay, Mando's going back. Mando has ult. Watch out, clones.
Don't spawn up a clone.
No, all right, no clones this time. Chain onto Mando, hammer, good damage.
He is
Spin.
tanky.
It doesn't do enough. Mando Warrior goes down, and the Athenian Sages take themselves the 2-0 to hold their chances of taking that second seed spot.
And correct me if I'm wrong. If we were to talk about like win-loss in the region, North American SEC,
Right.
the Weavers are now 0-7, 0-5.
For this phase, yes.
Okay,
They might be 0-7 from previous phases.
they might be.
But for this phase,
Man,
0-5.
you
for
had
the
it off the
Weavers.
top. That was quick.
I was ready.
Yeah.
5 weeks to play, 5 games to play.
Oh, we're on week 5.
That's right. We are on week 5, Mifflin.
Yeah, well, time's a flat
So
circle.
that was game 2. Now done, just as fast as game number 1, I believe. 24.5-ish minutes. The Athenian
the Sages are consistent, huh? Yeah.
Consistent of nothing else. Well, winning in this regard. That puts them up to 3-2 on the record.
Ooh.
They were number 2 before, and I know that in our standings that we always mess around and make sure that if there are actual ties, it says like second and second.
Mhm.
But it was 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think the Sages may have possibly confirmed themselves that second seed.
Confirmed it, like entirely.
I think so.
Nobody can match them, you're telling me.
Well, at least as far as set win-loss, yes, but I think maybe head-to-heads and plus-minuses keep them in that second seed.
All right. That's your second seed, guys. The Athenian Sages making short work of the Weavers. I know it sounded like that's an outro, but legitimately I'm buying time as production, collects a couple of clips to put into a little montage for you guys.
There's a lot to go through.
We're going to talk over that. Eventually, we're going to look at the post-game stats. You guys get to talk about how nobody was warding. Why weren't they warding? Vision wins games. Everybody in chat's going to talk about how that looked just like their ranked games, and then Keck W, because their accounts or profiles are set to private, but you guys are actually in bronze.
Okay.
All that coming up very shortly.
Are you sure about that, Mifflin? I don't know. Are you sure about that? It doesn't seem that it's coming up that shortly.
Yeah. I mean, it could be coming up like right now. Like, if I had my way.
You are doing your best to will it into existence.
I'm trying, man.
You're trying.
I'm trying.
Here, maybe I can help you out, Miff. Maybe we can get a look at the replays. There was a lot of replays to go through, so it's taking them a little bit to kind of sort through them. But we finally got those.
I guess the chair is
there.
different. I guess like you're in the captain's seat.
Well, Athenian Sages were in the driver's seat for at least the early part of the game, and then the Weavers decided to take the wheel away from them, and then one of the Sages came through and decided to open up the car, bust open the door, and take the wheel back from them.
All that
was a
and
weird
then
analogy.
something, the kitchen sink, right? Athenian Sages, wow. Not only was it clinical play, and not only was it interactive play, but it was also fun play.
Clones beware.
Clones beware.
Mando is out there for the clone's blood.
Yeah, so if you decided to spawn a clone at any point, Mando Warrior would have dealt with it, and he did very well.
Oh no! Wait, no. I don't know enough about Star Wars to make the reference if the Mandalorians didn't like the clones.
I think the Mandalorians were the clones.
No, Mandalorians were like a warrior group.
Yeah, here's the thing about how Jango Fett and Boba Fett are Mandalorians and also clones.
I don't think all of them were clones, though.
Yeah, like all but one of them.
No, I'm pretty sure those were the only, like, two or family of clones within the Mandalorians.
Yeah, the Fett family. Well, Boba Fett is just Jango Fett, but a clone.
I'm not going to try and dive into the Star... Have you even seen all the Star Wars?
I've seen all the ones not made by Disney.
That's, what, the original and
the six.
Yeah, the first six.
Yeah.
First six. To be fair, I think that's really all I've seen. I've also seen the Clone Wars animated series.
Well,
That
then
was
you
good.
should know, man. They're clones.
That was years back, man. That was years ago I watched it. I should do a rewatch of that. But for the Athenian Sages, they find themselves the 2-0 over the Anansi Weavers, and they were able to get themselves a 3-2 record to be able to close out phase number 3, push themselves closer to that playoff stage for Worlds. As remember, all 6 of the teams that are taking place in the SEC do make it into the playoffs, regarding based off at least where their seeds are. Then 2 of the SOC teams join in there, and those 8 teams will then square off to find, I believe it's the top 2, who then go into January to find their way to play up against the SPL teams that don't make it there. But that's in the future. And speaking of the future, let's talk about the near future, the schedule for the rest of the day. There's only one set left to go. Shabal with Storm and Yomi Tanuki will be our final set of today, and our final SCC set taking place here in the studio. The last 2 will be done by our amateur team following the SPL on Saturday and Sunday, so make sure that you catch out those 2 matchups. Athenian Sages find their 2-0 today, and that will be our 3rd set of the day. Now completed out there, Athenian Sages sitting in that 2nd seed at 3-2. Eldritch Hounds have confirmed themselves that guaranteed number 1. Unfortunately for the Weavers, with their loss there, that means they've guaranteed themselves. I think by this point they were already guaranteed the 6th seed, because there's no way they could have found two set wins up against the next one with only 1 set to play.
Yeah, I'll keep it real. I was thinking a lot about Star Wars lore while you were monologuing there, and just as a heads up for anyone in chat who has been correcting our lore, I got a special PSA from the entirety of hi-rez. I speak with the authority of Mr. hi-rez himself. Touch grass.
All right, there you go. There you got it from Mifflin. Don't question the lore that he and I have established over on the desk, because our word is law.
Yeah, don't fact check it, just respect it.
There you go. Athenian Sages, congratulations to those guys for finding themselves their 3rd set win of the phase, for finding themselves very likely a 2nd place seed, if not, at least post themselves in that top 3. But that's it for this set. We got 1 more to go, so make sure you stick around. We'll come back for our final NASCC set of the day right after this break.